down to business.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the #1 liquid-fueled, liquid-lubricated show on the interwebs. This is the Whiskey Musings broadcast. I am your host, Rick. So the title on YouTube obviously is incorrect. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it for whatever reason. Been trying to I'm a little inebriated already. So the show hasn't even started yet and I've already been drinking. Anyway, so tonight I want to talk, I've got a couple of things going on. I've got a couple new, audio filters that I'm giving a try. And so, trying to block out some of the background noise, for you folks. I still hear it, but for you folks, you guys hear it. And then of course I've changed my resolution on my camera a little bit, just to try and make it so that when I do fast movement, that it doesn't show the green screen behind me. So anyway, hopefully all of that works out. Obviously I can't hear myself. So if you are watching and you can log into the chat, I'd appreciate it if you would give me a holler to let me know whether or not my audio is still coming through okay. Most of it has to deal with, like I said, trying to block out some background noise and things like that. All right. So before I get started, I have a couple of things on the agenda tonight. First of all, the Monday is Flag Appreciation Day or Flag Day. And so if you can put out your flag to essentially celebrate and show your patriotism by putting the flag up. Now, a couple episodes ago, I mentioned, I think right before Memorial Day, I mentioned that I was putting up a flagpole, a very, very large flagpole up in my particular yard. And so, come Monday, I am looking forward to putting up my true to the ratio flag, American flag, because obviously we are American patriots here on the show. But basically what it is it's a 5 foot by 9.5 foot flag. And for those of you that don't know, the flag itself is it has a ratio of 1 to 1.9 in terms of what they call the hoist and the fly. The hoist is the up and down, or what would be right up next to the flagpole. The fly would be the left and right, or the length. So you would have the hoist being the width and the length, and the fly being the length. So that's a 1 to 1.9 ratio. Therefore, a 5 foot flag on the hoist side or the width side needs to be 9.5 on the length. Now, ironically, that is the same size that you would use if you were to drape a casket for funerals and things like that. But that is not the purpose as to why I purchased it that way. But I obviously I'm doing it because of the fact that I wanted a much larger flag to celebrate special occasions such as Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Flag Day, which is Monday. So I'm looking forward to putting that out. The second thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that I have I've picked up a couple more subscribers, and as you know, this show is essentially it is for you. I mean, I am producing this stuff, but this isn't necessarily for me. I do gain benefit, obviously, because if I don't gain any kind of benefit, then what would be the point in you doing it? But what I am doing is I am putting out the information to you, and hopefully you find it of some sort of an entertaining value. That being said, I do appreciate all of my subscribers, especially the 2 new ones, for this week. And as always, if you get an opportunity to take a look at the channel. There is my Whiskey Musings logo gear store, where I have a bunch of stuff there, and I would appreciate it if you would go ahead and purchase something from there. All the proceeds from that spot go right in directly back into the show. I don't take any kind of a, salary or anything like that off of this. So now, so subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing. I do appreciate it. And if you know somebody who may find this show entertaining, I would appreciate it if you would pass along the link, and maybe I'll get some more subscribers, because I don't advertise. This is all word of mouth from you folks. All right. So let's move on to tonight's topic. So tonight's topic, unlike the title that is actually down here, I didn't, as I said, if you're coming in a little bit late, I didn't get a chance to update the title. I will once the live stream is done, but this is episode 56, as I announced earlier, and the title is "You Can't Fix Stupid." And basically, what happened this week was there was a gentleman. I don't know if you were aware, but there was a gentleman who, shall we say, he got let go from his job at the New York magazine that he'd been there for 27 some odd years, and he went and okay, hold on. I see something in the chat. Hold on. Let me put this answer in here. So thank you very much, Justice Jenny. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate the audio check. That is awesome. Thank you very much. All right. Where was I? Oh, I was talking about CNN. So, this gentleman got fired actually from his magazine, and he did get suspended from CNN, for doing something that, let's see, how can I put this? He was doing something that you would normally do in private. And he popped in, he was in a Zoom call. I mean, I'm trying to keep this somewhat, a little bit of, shall we say, a little, kid friendly. I mean, yes, I do drink on the show, but I do want to kind of keep this a little bit of kid friendly. But anyway, this gentleman back in October was doing something on a Zoom call with his coworkers, in which that this particular action was something of a, shall we say, private nature. And, for whatever reason, now, granted, they didn't fire him. He was I might as well just, Jeffrey Toobin. Jeffrey Toobin was a legal analyst on CNN. He had covered, he had done legal commentary and things like that throughout the course of the time. In his, he did his thing for legal commentary, legal advice, whatever. He kind of analyzed the legalese in CNN, and unfortunately, he was on a Zoom call with his magazine cohorts, and realistically, here, let me go ahead and they went and put in a they brought him back to CNN, and they went ahead and did a kind of a interview, I guess, is the best way to kind of put it. But I'm going to let you kind of take a look at this video. I grabbed this from the internet. The links are in the description. But let's take a look at this, and this is sad. This is totally sad. I'm sorry. It's cringe, but I'm going to go ahead and just bring this up. This is absolutely, well, let you listen to it. You figure it out. Hold on.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello, Allison.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, indeed.
I feel like we should address what's happened in the months since we've seen you, since some of our viewers may not know what has happened. So I guess I'll recap. I'll do the honors.
Help yourself.
Okay. In October, you were on a Zoom call with your colleagues from the New Yorker magazine. Everyone took a break for several minutes, during which time you were caught masturbating on camera. You were subsequently fired from that job after 27 years of working there. And you, since then, have been on leave from CNN. Do I have all that right?
You got it all right. Sad to say.
Okay, so let's start there.
Okay.
To quote Jay Leno, what the hell were you thinking?
Well, obviously, I wasn't thinking very well or very much, and it was something that was inexplicable to me. I think one point, I wouldn't exactly say in my defense, because nothing is really in my defense. I didn't think I was on the call.
Okay. I'm just going to pause that right there. Let me bring me back up. Seriously, you didn't think you were on the call. Okay, I've attended, and I'm sure pretty much everybody, thanks to this past year, we've all attended Zoom calls, video calls. Honestly, you didn't think you were on the call. Now, oh my gosh. Okay, dude, look. If you actually check out the footage, and I'm not going to play it for you here tonight, just because, believe me, it's just. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is that holy crap, dude, if you honestly were not caring enough, I mean, I'm sorry, if you don't want to look for it, I get it, but let me just describe a little bit of what he does. So they take a break, apparently. He gets up, he goes and kind of moves around, grabs a couple of things. One of them is a bottle of freaking lotion. He drops that lotion on the desk in front of him next to you can see the top of the lotion in the camera. Then he goes and proceeds to unbuckle his pants and drop his pants right there on screen. Then he sits down, and I mean, it's pretty freaking obvious what he is planning on doing here. But wow. First of all, that would be like me taking the camera right here in front of you and like pointing it down, oh my gosh. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe, first of all, that this guy absolutely doesn't believe in any way, shape, or form that he is still part of the Zoom call. Okay. Unless you mute the speakers, which, I'm going to tell you, he could have done that. He could have muted the speakers, but unless you mute the speakers, coming out from your computer, you are aware of other people talking, because if you look at the video and the number of people that are in this Zoom call, there is absolutely no way that he could not have figured out that he was on the damn Zoom call. I mean, oh my God, I just cannot believe this. And realistically, first of all, let's not even just take away the whole point that this gentleman got himself set up to do something. Obviously, he found something, shall I say, stimulating on the call enough to make it to where he would even want to do something like that. Now, I don't know about you, but I know for me, I'm certainly, I mean, if I'm on a business call, I'm certainly not thinking about whatever it was that he was thinking about. So you kind of have to wonder if he was maybe looking at something else on this, on the screen, excuse me, if he was looking at something else on the screen or whatever. But seriously, dude, you were on a Zoom call. They took just a break. It wasn't even like, hey, I'm going to shut down the Zoom call and another Zoom call came in. It was, we're taking a break and we're going to go and do this. Now, anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just here. I'm going to let him continue to explain.
I didn't think other people could see me.
You thought that you had turned off your camera?
Correct. I thought that I had turned off the Zoom call. Now, that's not a defense. This was deeply moronic and indefensible, but I mean that is part of that is part of the story.
Okay. Yes, we agree with you, Jeffrey. It was deeply moronic, and it was something that was incredibly stupid to do. Totally agree with you there. I'm a little confused as to how you can think that you turned off your camera. But again, I go back to the whole point. What is it that you saw on that Zoom call that is causing you to want to do this? I just don't know. I just don't know. So let's just see what else he has to say.
And, you know, I have spent the 7 subsequent months, miserable months in my life, I can certainly confess, trying to be a better person. I mean, in therapy, trying to do some public service, working in a food bank, which I certainly am going to continue to do, working on a new book about the Oklahoma City bombing. But I am trying to become the kind of person that people can trust again.
Okay. You're trying to become somebody that we can trust again. Trust with what? Okay. First of all, none of that has anything to do with what you eventually did. I mean, look, he did something that, you know, people could think, okay, this is something private, you know, and hey, I'm whatever you do, you're in your private room or whatever. But the point, again, I go back to, has to be, what in the hell were you watching, or what did you see that caused you to be that excited to the point where you wanted to do this? Now, I got to give the guy credit. He is definitely, I mean, he is definitely on the, shall I say, the more ballsy side of things, to come on national television to have a conversation about this and to attempt to explain what it was that he was doing. Let's take a listen and see what else he comes up with this.
I'm sure you've replayed that embarrassing moment over and over many times. Have you ever thought about...
Okay, hold on. Before I'm even going to go any farther, take a look at the interviewer. Now, I don't know her name. I've already forgotten it, but can you imagine how uncomfortable it is to sit here and talk to this guy who was literally, you know, pleasuring himself on screen in front of his coworkers? I mean, I'm sorry. Is this not a potential lawsuit here? I mean, let's be real. CNN basically pushed not only him to go and do the interview because he has to explain what's going on, but also to have this woman go and interview him. You got to wonder how many people actually signed up for this or didn't sign up for this, and she ended up pulling the short straw. I mean, look at how uncomfortable she is doing this. Anyway, I'm going to keep playing it. Hold on.
what it must have been like to be on the receiving end of that Zoom call?
Well, I haven't just thought about it. I've spoken to several of my former colleagues at The New Yorker about it. And, you know, they were shocked and appalled. I think they realized that this was not intended for them. I think they realized that this was something that I would immediately regret.
Okay, wait. All right. I got to ask this question because I've attended several, trainings where sexual harassment is a crucial key part of this. The one thing that I've always gotten out of sexual harassment is it's not necessarily how you as the sender of the message or telling the joke or whatever, how you have meant it to be. It is how everyone else receives it and how everyone else perceives it in terms of the actual communication. So in other words, going up and touching somebody, let's say for an example, you have all these, in sports, you have the guys, they go through and they slap each other on the rear or whatever. If that's unwanted unwanted affection, then how is it that this guy is getting away with this? I mean, seriously, how is it that this guy hasn't had any kind of a complaint? I mean, obviously, he's already been fired from the job, from the Zoom call, but to think that maybe he might not do this again, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be a lot more careful with this maybe, but again, I go back to the whole point, and I'm sorry, I sound like I'm repeating what the hell were you watching that got you that excited anyway to go ahead and do this on a business meeting call? Holy crap, dude. I can't even understand it. I can't. Well, let's listen a little more.
As I certainly did. And it was that day that I began apologizing. And that is something that I have tried to continue to do, both publicly and privately. You know, we've covered a lot of political scandals, and we've heard what I like to think of as the politician apology, which is, you know, I'm sorry if you were offended, which always sounds to me like I've said the words, now get off my back. That's exactly what I've tried not to do. I mean, I have tried, and I'm trying now, to say how sorry I am, sincerely, in all seriousness. Above all, I am sorry to my wife and to my family, but I'm also sorry to the people on the Zoom call. I'm sorry to my former colleagues at The New Yorker. I'm sorry to my current, fortunately still colleagues at CNN. And I'm sorry to the people who read my work and who watched me on CNN and who thought I was a better person than this.
Okay. Seriously. Dude, he went through a long laundry list of things. I'll be honest with you. I mean, this kind of brings out a certain point, and yes, Jenny, yeah, he literally made himself at home while he was at work. I mean, anyway, I just don't understand. He's apologizing to everyone. So let me ask you this then. I mean, and this is a serious question because, you know, we've been told on a lot of occasions that when you make a mistake and you say something that you didn't mean, that an apology does go somewhere, but there's a lot of times where the apology isn't accepted, that the apology itself doesn't necessarily erase what's been putting out, what you've put out there. You know, because I know when I was growing up, it was like, look, be very, very mindful of what you say, because you cannot take the words back. Once they are stated, you cannot take them back from the thought process. And so, you know, this particular action, honestly, I'm sitting here and I'm going, dude, I'm sorry, but like I said, this guy's got some serious balls on him, because I know I would have a problem coming back. To be honest, coming back to work with people and even understanding that he's, you know, this has gone national. This is viral. This is, you could, like I said, you can look it up on YouTube. This is amazing to me that this guy is actually, first of all, being accepted back at CNN. But even worse so that he's actually doing this interview. I mean, you would think he would just want to jump back into work and just stay, you know, I'm just going to stay doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to mention it anymore. It was horrible. It was bad, you know, whatever, but I don't even want to think about it anymore. But here he is, and he's actually trying to face the music. So I got to give him a little bit of props for that. But at the same time, I've paused it here. Look at his interviewer's face. Look at her. She is, oh my gosh, she is incredibly uncomfortable. Can you not read that in her body language? She's like, oh my Lord, get me out of here. Anyway, let's continue.
And so, you know, I got a lot to rebuild, but I feel very privileged and very lucky that I'm going to be able to try to do that.
I mean, one of the ironies of this whole incident is that for decades you have covered the bad judgment and sexual proclivities of public figures and politicians like Bill Clinton and Anthony Weiner and Elliot Spitzer and Donald Trump, and I could go on.
Oh, yes. Here we go. So this is the standard thing that CNN does. Now, you notice, I mean, I have to give them props. They at least called out, some of the more known, shall we say, liberal Democrat, left-leaning folks that are in there, like Bill Clinton. And but notice one name that they missed, one name that they haven't called out in terms of covering the stories of these people. One particular name, and that's Jeffrey Epstein was not part of that list. Now, that's kind of interesting that they didn't bring that out. Even though he's supposedly been covering all of these issues, but they definitely inserted Trump in there. Now, I'm sorry, CNN itself is to me is not a reliable news outlet. It really isn't. It's been shown multiple times. I did a show on Project Veritas, finding out about them. They've been consistently wrong on a bunch of items, and they've never really apologized. They've never really retracted them, or if they have, it's been extremely quiet. And I've noticed that in multiple cases with the news media. But when really, you're going to call all of those people out, and you're not going to call on the one guy who is probably, you've got Harvey Weinstein in there, so why not Jeffrey Epstein? Why not him? Anyway, moving on.
And so, of course it begs the question, why didn't you have better judgment?
Because I didn't have better judgment, because I'm a flawed human being who makes mistakes. And
okay, there it is. There is his reasons for doing this. It is, I'm a flawed human being and I make mistakes. So that's it. That's his excuse. He's a flawed human being and he makes mistakes. Not going to fight with that one. We're all flawed human beings. But the funny thing about it is that by doing this interview and having this guy come back onto CNN, you are being expected to just welcome him back based off of his apology. You are expected to bring him back into the fold to just say, you know what? This was embarrassing. Like the tagline down here shows, embarrassingly stupid mistake. It was stupid. I wasn't thinking. Okay, if we're going to accept that from you, then why can't we accept that from several other people that you've been vilifying for a bunch of different things? Or even better yet, what about going and accepting that people are innocent of doing things until proven guilty? Now, he's already gotten his day in court. It literally was on the video that has been around the world. But when you look at somebody, Matt Gaetz is who I'm thinking of. He hasn't had his day in court yet, but yet they've automatically vilified him. So this is where I'm sorry, I'm going to call out a little bit of hypocrisy here. You can't go and give this guy a pass for something that he literally did do and is now apologizing for. He's admitted that he's guilty. You cannot give him a pass, but yet allow those other people or vilify those other people who are claiming their innocence and haven't been proven guilty yet. Anyway, let's continue and see what else he says.
And there is no defense for my conduct. The only issue is what should be the consequences. And
I think we've already seen them. You got fired. And amazingly, you've gotten rehired at a company that is newsworthy, supposedly. All right. Let's see what else he says.
New Yorker made one decision about the consequences. CNN made a different decision, fortunately, for which I'm very grateful. But I am not going to come up here and split hairs and try to come up with justifications or explanations. It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
I do want to get to what the New Yorker decision was and the consequences. So after you had worked there for 27 years, you were fired, they said, after an internal investigation. And in an internal memo, one of the executives there said, I am writing to share with you that our investigation regarding Jeffrey Toobin is complete, and as a result, he is no longer affiliated with our company.
Okay, So it's something here that I wanted to bring up. This is actually a proper process that they went through. They did the investigation. They found out that, yes, he did it and he got fired. So, he lost his job based off of this investigation. So the question then, in my sense, I mean, why wouldn't you go and allow that same set of values across the board to some other people who have been accused, wrongfully so in some cases, but you're applying the same set of standards across the board is really where you need to be. And right now, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look like you're doing the same set of, now, granted, this is in part of a company, but still, I'm looking at like CNN as an example. Let's continue.
Do you know what else they found?
I do, actually. I was told very specifically by the people involved that they looked at my entire career at The New Yorker, 27 years, and found that there had been no complaints about me, no issues, no other, this was not the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just this incident.
Okay. So in other words, what you're trying to tell us here, Mr. Toobin, is that past discretions, if there's never been any, that you should be granted some lenience on some of these things. So then why can't you, as CNN and supposedly the most trusted name in news, do the exact same thing for other people who have been accused of things and have, instead of like totally just, wanting to pull out the gallows and hang them? Let's see.
I was certainly relieved, though not surprised, that that's what they found. But yet, nevertheless, they made the decision to get rid of me, which, needless to say, was heartbreaking for me.
So you're saying there will be no surprises after this that will come out?
Oh my God. How the hell did she make, how did she make that statement with a straight face? There's no surprises that will come out. I'm sorry. That was a bad pun. Anyway.
There are no surprises out there about my conduct, that I am worried that there is there's a skeleton that's going to be found. I live in the world. I know social media, what the reactions are likely to be. I hope they will be at least mixed. But, and so people.
Wait. Hold up. You expect them to be mixed. Mixed. Newsflash here, homie. Sorry, that was a bad term. Newsflash here, buddy. You were caught doing what is normally a private act on camera. What part of mixture are you, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to have people come in and like say, oh, it's nothing but totally natural and everything, I can give you a pass? Seriously? Totally inappropriate behavior, if you ask me. But I digress.
People can claim what they want, but I don't think there is anything further that's going to come out.
Do you think, given that the punishment fits the crime?
I am the worst person to ask that question. Obviously, I loved The New Yorker. I loved working there. I felt like I was a very good contributor to that magazine for a very long time, and I thought this punishment was excessive. But look, that's why they don't ask the criminal to be the judge in his own case. I thought it was an excessive punishment. I am incredibly grateful to CNN for taking me back. But other people are going to weigh in about whether it was appropriate for them to get rid of me and for CNN to keep me.
Okay. Speaking of bringing somebody in to weigh in on whether or not keeping this gentleman around is actually appropriate. So on another note, there was a gentleman, oh boy, I'm trying to remember his name, Clay. Give me just a second here. Let me look, because I want to make sure I've got his name correct here. Give me just a moment, because I've got the article up, or the article in here. The article is actually in the show notes. So let me see here. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't grab. Yes, I did. Okay. So the, CNN is favoring, the Clay Travis was the guy's name, Clay Travis. And CNN is actually showing a little bit of favoritism here. Okay. Because they allowed Toobin to stay. Now keep in mind, here's what happened with Clay Travis. According to Clay Travis, oh my gosh, Clay Travis, according to him and his interview with the New York Post in particular, he actually said on air, he was talking about appreciating and liking the First Amendment and boobs. That was his point. He said boobs on the air. He likes boobs. So, okay, CNN fired him for that. All right. I'm going to have to kind of argue a little bit with this. Okay, yes, that was inappropriate. Not going to fight that. Definitely not going to fight that. However, letting that guy go and not giving him a bit of a pass and bringing Toobin back for essentially doing what is indecent exposure and literally illegal. This doesn't have anything to do with saying the word boobs. I mean, I can say the word boobs all day long and I won't get arrested for it. If this man were to do something like this in public, okay, he would have gotten arrested, as far as I'm aware, in just about every single state of the union for indecent exposure. And he did it. He violated some other like cyber crimes. I'm sure there's a bunch of crimes that he violated here. And yet they're giving him a pass. Them, meaning CNN, are giving him a pass. And they fired somebody for saying a word that, granted, it was in poor taste, but they're firing him because he said a word, even though he never did anything that would be considered illegal. Now, talk about a double standard. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. There are a lot of people who are out here who have double standards. And if they didn't have double standards, they would have no standards at all. Now, CNN, honestly, I mean, I'm not going to finish the Toobin interview, but suffice it to say, you can take a look. You can see the whole thing. Like I said, I linked it below. But realistically, I don't know what they were thinking. Honestly, I don't know. Either this guy is incredibly good at his job, or they're looking to like add ratings or something. I don't know. Get people to like watch their show. I have no idea. But if you're sitting here and you're honestly, after looking at this and you're thinking to yourself, okay, CNN is the most trusted name in news. I'm sorry. Anytime I see this guy on screen, I'm going to be thinking about this entire incident. Now, granted, this happened back in October. He's been sort of out of the loop for a while, but here he comes back with this big, huge splash. This big, huge splash of what he is doing, coming back to CNN. So I'm sorry, but I cannot trust CNN. CNN is not the most trusted name in news anymore. And to be honest with you, it's, showing that they have a double standard. So here's another thing where I was talking about, and honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. As far as I'm concerned, the people who have made this decision are pretty much, they're being stupid. And that's kind of ties back to the you can't fix stupid title. I know it's wrong on YouTube, but I'll fix it once the video goes up. But anyway, so here's another gentleman who, very recently has put out a bunch of opinions. He is an opinionator, just like me. He's an opinion commentary. Definitely, he's well known. Some would say well respected. But the individual in case in point, a few months ago, did a segment on an interview or a commentary that Bill Riley put out. Now, the funny thing about this is that recently this gentleman has been critical of essentially race in America. He has been very outspoken about, white people in America, and he supports BLM. He does all of these things. But yet in this particular segment of his show, which I think a lot of people haven't seen, and if they have, they're looking at this and they're going, okay, wait a minute, this is not where you want to go. And give me just a second. I'm hoping that I can bring this up, but he kind of contradicts himself. Hold on just a second. Let's take a look at this. So I got to queue up this next.
Someone on another network got the chance to go first because I couldn't go during the week. I'm only here on the weekend, so listen to this.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But
okay. So I'm just going to kind of frame this because I sort of launched into the video ahead of time, but let me frame this a little bit. So one of the things, and I've actually even talked about it on this show, you can go and take a look back. I don't remember the episode, but it was talking about how, in regards to race and how everything from, at least from a certain political spectrum viewpoint, it's all about that race. It's always about race. Now, the funny thing about it is, though, is that a lot of people have, on that side of the fence, have been talking about how it's white supremacy, it's white racism, it's the systemic racism of the country. Now, what's really odd, though, and even Don Lemon has even mentioned this, he has talked about how it's systemic racism, how it's a problem and everything else. But yet here he is agreeing with what was reportedly a lot of people took Bill O'Reilly's monologue as a racist rant. And here Don Lemon is actually agreeing with him. So let's take a little bit more of a listen of what Don Lemon has to talk about with this.
in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Some people, a lot of them black, gave me flack for saying that recently on the Wendy Williams show. If you're sagging, it means, I think it's your self-esteem is sagging, and who you are as a person, it's sagging. Young people need to be taught respect, and there are rules. Sagging pants, whether it's Justin Bieber or no-name Derek around the way, walking around with your ass and your underwear showing is not okay. In fact, it comes from prison when they take away belts from the prisoner so that they can't make a weapon. And then it evolved into which role a prisoner would have during male-on-male prison sex. The one with the really low pants is a submissive one. You get my point? Number 4 now is the N-word.
For our generation, what we did was we took the word and we took the power out of that word.
We took this word and we made it into poetry.
I understand poetic license, but consider this. I hosted a special on the N-word, suggesting that black people stop using it, and that entertainers stop deluding yourselves or themselves and others that you're somehow taking the word back. By promoting the use of that word when it's not germane to the conversation, have you ever considered that you may just be perpetuating the stereotype the masser intended, acting like a nigger? A lot of African Americans took offense to that too, and I wondered if I gave the right advice. I really did. But confirmation came the very next day on my way home when I exited the subway on 125th Street in Harlem. This little kid in a school uniform, no older than 7 years old, he was crying his eyes out as he walked down the sidewalk with his mother. I'm going to be honest here. She turned to him and she said, "I'm sick of you. You act like an old-ass man. Stop all that crying, nigger." Is that taking the word back? Think about that. Now, number 3, respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering. I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest here. Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids are acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English. A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year. A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year. A college graduate makes $51,000 a year. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues. So please, black folks, as I said, if this doesn't apply to you, I'm not talking to you. Pay attention to and think about what has been presented in recent history as acceptable behavior. Pay close attention to the hip-hop and rap culture that many of you embrace, a culture that glorifies everything I just mentioned, thug and reprehensible behavior, a culture that is making a lot of people rich, just not you, and it's not going to.
Okay, so look, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of people that would say that, oh, you're white, you can't make a comment on this. Well, you know, to be completely honest, yes, I can. And the reason being is because I've looked at the studies. I've looked at the historical value. I've looked at things like criminalistic behavior and where a lot of crime is being taken in. And I'm going to be honest with you. Believe it or not, I actually agree with Don Lemon. I agree with Bill O'Reilly. There is plenty of studies that are out there. If you just want to take a few minutes to look them up yourselves, there are plenty of studies out there that show exactly what Don Lemon is talking about. Maybe not in every single case, like the whole thing with the pants hanging down. I mean, that should be just a standard societal value. But the idea of the whole concept of like the thug life and the unwed mothers and the fatherlessness. There is plenty of studies out there that demonstrate that all of these things honestly contribute to things that we are dealing with in terms of criminality and criminal behavior. This is provable. It's been studied. It's been shown. There is plenty of evidence out there. Yet for whatever reason, you know, Don Lemon doesn't remember this interview, apparently, because he now talks about how BLM, which honestly is, you know, participates, or at least the people that follow it tend to participate in thuggish behavior. They have, you know, riots and everything else. Look, I'm not going to argue with you that America has its problems. We do. We have our issues, just like anybody else does. We are not perfect. We're not even close to being perfect. But the American ideal that is out there is something to strive for. And that is something that we need to change. We need to focus on. We need to move toward. This idea that there are issues with black versus white, and you've got CRT out there now, which is critical race theory, and you've got people who are saying that just by the very nature of your skin color, you honestly cannot make it in this world. That is all literally a lie. And I'm sorry, but if you believe in that thought process, you've already doomed yourself. He pointed out, true, that, and it's been shown, if you don't graduate with at least a high school diploma, you are going to be behind the power curve. If you can. Now, one digression that I'm going to make with this is that instead of just college is great. Don't get me wrong. I am a college educated individual. However, as I've told my son, who is in college age right now, we actually, in our society right now, we actually have a flip right now. the white collar jobs are harder and harder to get. It's more of the blue collar workers that are experiencing the shortages. I mean, think about this, going into medical. I've even done a show on this too. Going to medical, going to electrician, going into some type of a professional capacity where you're not going to college, but you're going to a trade school. That's where the shortages are. If you're a young person, you're watching this video, I highly encourage you, if you like working with your hands, get out there and find something to do it. There are shortages in welding, electrical, automotive. There's the whole medical. I fully support that. Mike Rowe fully supports that because he also sees where we're going with this. I'm going to be honest with you people. Having victimhood mentality is not the way to go. And I'm sorry, but if you believe in that, you really are not helping yourself. You really aren't. And, to sit here and to point out in any way, shape, or form that this, that you're falling into this trap because you're feeling like somebody else is responsible. In America, we are responsible for ourselves. That's the beauty of it. And I know you want to talk about how, people talk about the police, and they talk about how many times, somebody gets shot and so on and so forth. Look, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Critical thinking is your friend. Question everything. Dig up the facts for yourself. This is what's going to show you where the actual truth lies. And I'm going to tell you right now, based on what I've been showing you, it is not CNN. CNN is a joke. Don't go and watch CNN. CNN is going to lie to you. Project Veritas has showed that they've lied. They're bringing on people who really shouldn't even be there. They contradict themselves in terms of their own communications and what they've put out there. Don't watch CNN. Don't watch the mainstream media. Find something else to do. I'm sorry. So, all right. Last thing for tonight. And this actually came from Facebook. And I'll be honest with you, I am not all that pleased. And because I didn't cue this up. But look, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to get a tattoo, small piece of advice. First of all, make sure that it's something that you would not have a problem showing either your mother, your grandmother, or your future wife and your potentially future daughter in any way, shape, or form. That's rule number one. Rule number two, rule number one applies because, tattoos are fairly permanent, okay? Rule number two, don't ever put anybody's name who you can divorce or change relationships with or whatever. Children, fine. Mothers, fine. Fathers, fine. Your offspring are one thing, your parentage is the other because you're associated by blood. But whatever you do, please don't put your wife's name on your body. So the last thing I want to show you here and talk about in terms of can't fix stupid is this. Let me see if I can grab this now. I'm going to pop this out. Let's see. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Had to get the list. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. If you, dude, if you have this as your tattoo, you are going to regret it. I hope this person, whoever this was, I'm assuming it's a man just because of the shape and everything. But then again, in today's day and age, it may not even be. But the point is, though, oh my gosh, you have got to be kidding me. I am hoping because, seriously, people, when you go to show this to your kids, you have to take your shirt off. You have to take your shirt off. And you're going to have this showing every single time. Where in God's green earth did you come up with the idea that this was something that would be acceptable? Oh my gosh. Yes, it is funny. It is hilarious. I think it is hilarious. But eventually, I'm telling you, this is going to be regrettable. this is going to be something that this person is going to regret. And I'll be honest with you, I have a tattoo, and I have it. I got it for a specific reason, and it relates only to me. It is specific to me. And I actually even had a friend of mine that in the service who went around and did tattoos. And what he did was he wanted to do all cartoon characters. So he did have things like Calvin and Hobbes and so on and so forth. I personally thought it was a little odd, but he was really into it, and that was fine. But and doing Popeye, hey, honestly, all good for you. Go ahead. But seriously, this is probably not something that I would recommend in any way, shape, or form, because you're going to have to explain that to somebody somewhere at some time. My goodness. All right. So looking at the time, I'm about 5 minutes up to the hour. So I think I'm going to end it there. And that will be my final Whiskey Musings thought of the evening will be, please, whatever you do, just think before you get a tattoo. Getting a tattoo is not bad. I mean, not necessarily, depending upon, what your thoughts are. But remember, it is fairly permanent. And even if they tell you that you can laser etch it or take it off with a laser, it's still going to be there. There's still going to be some remnant there. Oh my God, I cannot believe that somebody actually did that. But hey, everybody has their own way of thinking. Anyway, if you like the show, if you appreciate the show, I would appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button and definitely hit that bell so that you are notified whenever I either upload a new video or go online, go live. I appreciate you coming by. And hey, if you enjoy the show too, please do me a favor, because word of mouth is my only advertisement. Let everybody else know. Let your friends know and things that if they tune in and they don't like it, no muss, no fuss. I get it. I am an acquired taste. It's not that big of a deal to me. I mean, I would appreciate the subscriptions, but if you don't like it, you don't like it. I mean, we're America. That's what we're here for. Don't forget Flag Day on Monday. If you're patriotic, go ahead and throw that flag up. I've got my very special big flag that I'm planning on throwing on my pole. If you are patriotic, check out my Memorial Day special that I just did. And do me a favor, check out some of my other videos as well. That, I think, is about it for me tonight. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week on the Whiskey Musings broadcast. Have a great weekend. Good night.